Hello and welcome to another Verbling class. Tonight's class is on project management. We'll get started in just a few minutes. Just waiting for students to arrive. We'll get started once they're here. Hi, David.
Hello, how are you?
I'm exhausted
Why?
because I've been out with my family shopping all day, and shopping's not how you want to spend the day.
No, I don't like.
So I'm just getting everything ready. Now, you wanted to talk about what in particular related to project management?
Yes, because I sometimes have to start projects and to manage projects, but I do all these tasks in Spanish, and I like to do the same in English to learn new vocabulary and how to explain the same, but in English.
Okay. Well, maybe what we can do is we'll take things at a bit of a high level today, and we'll kind of look at project management in general. What does it mean? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll talk about the PMBOK 5th edition. Everything I do related to project management is based on the PMI framework. All right, excellent. Everyone's coming in. I'd like to say a special thanks to Adela. I know it's late where you are and it's Friday, so you get a gold star just for showing up. Oh, Adela, you're orange today. Very interesting. I missed that little child picture you used to have. Well, I can't hear you, Adela, so hopefully you get your microphone working shortly. Hi, Wellington.
Yes, I am. Do you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I do, and that's the picture I'm used to. Welcome.
Okay.
Wellington,
Thank
can you hear me?
Yes, yes. How are you?
I'm good, a little tired, but after class I get to enjoy a dinner, so that'll be nice. But I'm happy to be here with you guys. I actually thought it was a game class, and I realized, no, it's project management, so I had to change what I was thinking in my mind, but that's not a big challenge. So what are you looking forward to in today's class, Wellington?
So, I did some courses in process related to process, and when we talk about process, also we talk about management. And I am graduate in technology, and in my work at the bank. Sometimes I must to lead with projects, and so all the time I am doing something that it's related to management, project management,
Okay.
management.
Well, Wellington, I seem to be getting a lot of really good feedback. So far, both classes have been sold out. And what that encourages me to do is to have more classes like this.
Good.
Yeah, because I personally really enjoy doing it, but I've got to teach what sells. So let's take a look here. So, oh, a few more students have just joined us, so let's say hello to them. Where's my screen? There we go. Hello, Jose. Welcome.
Hello, Simon. How are you?
I'm good. So what interests you in the project management class? What are you looking to learn?
I will looking to learn new vocabulary, how Uh, do you have to manage a project because
Okay.
it is a hard work.
Hmm.
It is not easy.
No,
Yeah, things like that.
it's
Improve
not.
I improve my knowledge about the project management.
It's not hard, but I'll say this: it's not difficult. Or sorry, it's not easy, but it's not difficult either.
Yes.
If you use the
Okay.
right processes and if you know how to project manage, before long it becomes a lot easier. And when things get really crazy, when you have big issues to deal with, that's when it gets really simple. And that's when you enjoy it because
Yes.
you've got issues to resolve. And as long
You,
as you follow due diligence,
you,
follow the
you,
processes,
ha-
you won't
you
get in
have to
trouble.
follow a procedure.
Well, yeah, you do. This is a methodology. It's a framework, and if you
Yes.
follow it, then you're not going to get in trouble because the only time you do get in trouble is when you don't communicate properly or plan. But we'll get to
Yes.
that later.
Okay.
Javier, hello, Javier.
Hello, Simon.
Hello. Have you been to my class before?
Yeah, twice. I think twice. Yeah, twice or three times. Yeah.
Well, it's good to have you here. What attracts you to my project management class?
Yeah, I think that we are gonna have fun, no? No, I mean, I'm interested in know new vocabulary and
Yeah.
in knowing as well what does the words stand for. Yeah, because we are in this kind of things. You are using a lot of nomenclatures like letters. Yeah,
Yep.
but.
And we're going to talk at a very high level in this class, and
Mhm.
I'll explain the agenda in just a minute. I just want to say hi to everybody and try to find out what it is you're looking for. And obviously, it's business terminology related to project management. All right. Hello, AMP.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
Good, good. I have my board markers here.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, AMP, why project management? Why do
I
you
don't
like this
have
class?
I don't have any idea what exactly is, but I want to learn the vocabulary and terms that probably you need in some well, you don't know. Maybe in your job you can need this kind of vocabulary, a little more technical than
Hmm.
the general vocabulary. That's why I'm here.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do now then is there is a bit of speaking that I'm going to do, but then I want to engage you guys. So just to let you know, where does this come from? Everything I'm going to talk about today comes from PMBOK, which stands for the Project Management Body of Knowledge. As I said, this is a publication, this is a framework, a body of knowledge put out by the PMI. So this is an international recognized organization regarding project management. It is not Simon's project management that I put together myself. All right, and this is the latest edition, the 5th edition. So there's been some changes between the two editions. You guys probably don't really care about that, so I'm going to skip that. But this is kind of important, okay? Project management is kind of broken up into 10 different areas, okay? Integration management. Okay, that's how you can get everything to work together. Scope management. We defined scope in the last class as basically an outline of what you need to do. Right? So scope is very, very important in project management. If you don't know this word, write it down. This is something that you really need to know, and it's very important in business. Okay, so as a noun, it is the extent of the area or subject matter that something deals with. Okay? So for this class, I'm going to use an example of building a highway. Imagine building a highway from Toronto. Well, no, not only you guys, I'll use Toronto. From Toronto to Montreal. It's about 500 kilometers. Okay? So I've already given you part of the scope. It's between two cities. I might say it's 4 lanes wide. There's more scope. Time management. All right, let me ask you a question, Wellington. What do you think time management has to do with? What do we think of when we think of time when managing a project?
Yeah, the time, the initial, the start, and the middle and the end. We need to put to measure the time and project the time that you spend, we will spend to do the tasks and to reach the goal.
Okay, good. So you've said a lot there. Now, Jose, one thing that Wellington said, it has to do with having a start and an end date, which is true. Project management is all about having a start and an end date. Otherwise, it's not a project. But Adela said timing. What can you tell us about a project and schedule? What's important there?
What is important about the schedule?
Yeah.
Because you have a deadline to finish the project, and you have to schedule all the tasks that you have to do along the life of this project.
Brilliant. Okay, so again, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm not going to introduce a lot of terminology here, but it has to do with the schedule. Okay, time management has to do with the schedule, the timing, right? That's very good. So Javier, if we're talking about the schedule, why is it important to stay on schedule? Why is it important to stay on schedule, Javier?
Because if we are talking about a project, it's like a process, no? So everything should be finished on time in order to the next process or the next task starts at the proper time as well, no? The proper time.
It should. You're right. It should. David, does this always happen? Does everything finish on time?
No, unfortunately.
What happens if it doesn't?
And you have to recalc your schedule and perhaps evaluate if the costs are going to be the same.
Very good. So now you see how it kind of, this is about integration. I kind of skipped over the first one because it's confusing to a lot of people at first, but I'm mentioning it now. So the schedule has an impact on costs. These subject areas integrate. And the word integrate means, and you can't see, I'm joining my fingers together. Integrate means to join together. Okay? So schedule has an impact on cost. So AMP, let's imagine you're managing a project, and let's say one of your project managers comes to you and says, hey, you know, based on the weather, this highway that we're building, it looks like we're going to be delayed a couple of months.
Yes, you have to pay to the employees for more time.
So you're paying salaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a cost. It costs more. Now, imagine, AMP, that you're on the same project and the manager comes to you and says, hey, it looks like it's going to be a very cold and difficult winter. If we just stay on schedule, if we stay on track with what we have scheduled, chances are we'll finish winter 3 months behind. So there's an issue. Write that word down, issue. I'll explain more about that later. So this is a potential issue, but really it's more of a risk. And look, that's coming up later. Weather impacting the project is a risk. So Adela, imagining that weather could become a problem, what can we do to reduce the impact of that risk? What can we do? So if we know the weather's going to be bad in the winter, what could we do now, before winter?
To reduce the impact. Sorry.
Yeah.
The time. Maybe to have a good a control, a monitoring in each part of timing.
Okay, so
control.
You're talking about timing here. So guys, please let me know. Type it if you have to. If I'm going too fast, slow me down here. So again, imagining we're building a highway. In the United States, they call these things interstates. It's one of those roads where you don't have to stop to get off. We have on-ramps. They're designed for high speed. In England, they call them motorways. Canada, highways. United States, they call them freeways. Either way, we have 2 lanes of traffic going towards Montreal and 2 lanes of traffic going in the other direction. So it costs a lot of money. It takes time. So if somebody tells me we have a risk of bad weather that could impact time, but we also know it can impact the cost. Right? So we know we've got a problem here, potential problem, right? We identify it as a risk. Now, Wellington, let's stay on that example. We're building a highway. There's a risk that we will have a bad winter. The impact would be a 3-month delay, which increases costs. Now, it's July. We can accept that risk and go, yeah, we can't do anything about the weather. What else could we do, Wellington?
One of the options, I think, that is to get more workforce to work, more employees, and increase the time that they will work. Of course, I will have a extra cost with extra hours, but I need to measure what is worse or what is better. Improve the cost with extra hours, or the delay, the cost with the delay because the weather.
So what Wellington is talking about is, well, if we've got enough time, instead of delaying the project, because this could be very political, right? You're building a highway, politicians are involved, and they might say, no, this is not acceptable. They might be willing to let you spend more money. So Wellington is smart. He's thinking, hey, can we do it now? Can we spend, what will it cost us to go ahead and do more work now so we can get the project done before winter? This is called collapsing the schedule. Guys, I'm typing in group chat, all right? And at about 15 minutes before the end of class, I'm going to stop and ask everyone, do you have any questions about terminology? I don't expect you to come away from this class with any more than about 3 to 5 new terms, even though I'm talking about more. Each class that we do, you're going to learn more. Okay? So what we're saying about this risk then is we want to avoid the risk. We don't want to have to deal with it. And to do that, we're looking at collapsing the schedule, having people work overtime to complete it sooner. That's what collapse the schedule means, to complete it sooner. All right. So before I go on and talk about the other areas, I want to keep talking about what we've talked about so far. Let's see. Jose.
Yes.
So again, imagining we're building a highway here. Okay.
Yes.
What sort of things, let's call them resources, do we need to build a highway? What resources do we need?
Materials.
Okay.
People, human resource.
Human. Generally we say human resources for people. So, but very good, yeah.
Human resources, material.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore.
Well, I'll type this down. So resources can include materials, human resources, and these are also human resources too, but we refer to them as subject matter experts.
Okay.
Okay. Have you heard that
Okay.
term before?
No.
Okay. Quite often people will call them SMEs.
SMEs.
Subject matter experts. All right, hang on, Jose. I'm going to see if Javier's heard of a SME. Javier, what's a SME?
What's a SME?
Yeah, what's a subject matter expert or a SME?
Subject matter expert.
What do you think that is?
I thought it was small and medium enterprises, but there is another meaning, yeah? So...
No, I've already told you what it means, Javier. I told you it means subject matter expert. What does subject matter expert mean?
It could be a group of people expert in something, in some field.
Okay, you're very close. Some people in a certain field, all right? So I'm going to go to David now, and I think David knows the answer to this, but this is where I do a little bit of talking. Let's think about our project, our make-believe project here, building a highway. As a project manager, David, do you think you know how to build a highway?
No, I have no idea.
Do you need to know how to build a highway as a project manager?
I think I have to know something about how to build a highway.
Well, maybe something, sure.
I don't need to be an expert of building highways.
Okay. The project manager does not have to be an expert in any field. However, I'll get to monitor and control soon, Adela. However, do you think it's important to know people that know how to engineer, to be able to clear the land and set the grade? Do you think it's important to have people who are experts in that field?
Yes, it's important, not only important, I think you have to hire people who knows about this topic.
Okay, good. Am,
yeah.
when it comes to building a highway, do you think you need to know, to be able to hire experts who are familiar with government regulation and environmental regulation and all this stuff?
For sure, yes, you need it. It's
what do you
part
think
of
would happen if you forgot to get a permit?
Yeah, probably you are going to receive a fine, a big one, and you have to modify the project, and then you are going to have more expense, more money to expense.
Very good. So more cost, increased time, not looking good for you. So again, a subject matter expert is an expert in a given field, right? And if you as a project manager hires the right people, you don't need somebody working for you full time in that area. You just need them for the duration of the project or of a given task. All right, Adela, what are you typing there? You saying monitor, control? What's that about?
Oh, sorry. I asked about SME. Can be the control, for example, the environmental impact for the highway, for example.
Sure.
They are expert. That is the question. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. All right, back to Wellington. Wellington, does this make sense, or am I going too fast?
No, this makes sense, yes. We need to, sometimes we cannot need a project management that have all these skills, but he must to know to lead the people, and so to know sometimes or to have people people that to know the procedures, the protocols to achieve the goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for me it's clear.
All right. And think of it this way. We all know the United States, and it has a president. Um, the president of the United States, does he know how to do everything that it takes to run a country?
No.
No. Jose, so thinking about the president of the United States, how many people
Yes.
does he have working for him in the government?
I
How
don't
many?
know, but I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
100, 200, a lot of people.
See, here's the secret thing, Jose. If you
Yes.
really know how to manage, if you understand project integration, scope, time, all of these things here, quality, management, human resources, if you understand all of these very, very well, you don't have to be an expert in building roads because you hire enough of
Okay.
the right people.
Yes.
Your job is to keep it on schedule, to keep costs,
Okay.
to manage them. It doesn't mean you can't spend more. So, Jose, is it okay to spend more than your budget on a project?
It's important.
It's important. What do you mean?
Yes.
So let me ask my question
To, to,
again.
to,
Is it
yes.
okay to spend more than you're budgeted?
No. If you spend more money that you have in your budget, it is not good. It's bad
Okay.
because your project is expensive. It's more expensive.
Now, I want you to think for a minute, Jose.
Yes.
Can you think of an example where it's okay to spend more money than what was budgeted?
For example, here in Spain, in Valencia,
Mm-hmm.
Calatrava built a big bridge. He spends a lot of money over the budget. After that, the government had had to pay this over price.
Okay, so let's think about this for a minute here, and that's a good point. And we're going to go on to Javier now. David wrote about, well, if you want to
Yes.
finish your project, remember that risk I was talking about, Javier? What was that risk we were talking about?
About to finish the project before or not?
Okay, but what was the risk, though? Do you remember what the risk was?
The risk, more cost, no?
No, that was not the risk.
The risk.
What was causing more cost? Do you remember?
The time, no. The time, no.
No. The time, there was more time, but that was because of a certain risk event. Do you remember?
No, to be honest.
All right. Let me go to David. David, what was that risk event we were talking about earlier?
The weather.
The weather. Okay, Savvy. So remember we were talking about the weather, and Wellington had said we could get it done sooner?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, Javier, here's something very important. It's okay to spend more than your budget. It's okay to increase scope. It's okay to change the quality. I'm pausing for a very important reason.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to finish the project, you have to sometimes to spend more money, no?
What I typed is as long as it is managed. So David now. David, do you know what change management is?
Change management. No, I don't know.
Okay, well, let's, again, look at that risk. Now, imagine that Wellington has gone. He's done a lot of work, and he says, well, look, boss, I've got three options for you. We can, well, so here's the problem. It looks like the weather forecast indicates it's going to be a bad winter, and it's going to extend the project by 3 months. It's going to extend the cost by $25 million. So here we go. So more money.
I'm not fine.
Increase schedule. Okay. Great. So we know it costs more money and know it's going to increase schedule. So I have options for you, boss. We can accept this and keep going the way we had planned and hope for the best. All right? The second thing I can do for you, boss, is I can hire more staff, our contractors can work longer, and we can get the project completed before winter. This will increase the cost by $30 million. Okay? So David, if I gave you those two choices, which one do you like better?
I think the second one.
Why? It costs more money.
Yeah, but if we finish earlier the project, perhaps we will start to receive money from the tolls of the highway.
Okay, so if we finish sooner, right?
Sooner, yes.
Okay.
And we can receive this money, and I think it's better than assume the risk of the winter.
Okay. Now I'm going to go to AMP. So AMP, I'm going to ask you the same question as I asked David. $25 million versus $30 million. Okay. We don't know if the winter is going to be bad. We just have a forecaster telling us, an expert, a subject matter expert is telling us there's a risk that it might be delayed by 3 months and cost us an extra 25. So there's a certain level of probability here. We don't know for sure. In the second option, I tell you it's going to cost $30 million, but we can get it done before winter. Which option do you like and why?
Probably the second one. If I choose that one, I have the opportunity to start getting money in another project. I might have my human resources free to start another project, and probably in that way I can recover the money that I have to invest in the first one.
Brilliant answer. Both David and you gave different answers. Listen to what AMP said again, guys. AMP, tell us again. Why would you choose the more expensive option?
Because in that way I have my human resources for free, and I can start another project.
That's very important, yeah. Because, guys, what can happen here is not only would this project take longer, but that means all your other projects will be impacted, okay? So I just said change management about 5 minutes ago. What Wellington has done is he's listed the options. A manager has reviewed it and has decided, and both of them in this case have decided, yeah, let's go with option 2. Wellington has been the project manager. He didn't make the decision. He saw the risk. The subject matter experts he hired on weather said, hey, you might want to look at this. He presented the options. Management made the decision. So we're going to change the schedule, and we're going to spend more money. And that's okay, because you got approval. And that's what's important about project management. It's okay to spend more money. It's okay to change the schedule, so long as you've reviewed your options, presented them to a governing body, and they've accepted it. Then it's okay. Stuff happens. Adela, does this make sense?
Yes.
Am I going too fast? Is there anything else that you would like me to spend more time on or that you're not sure about?
I don't understand your question, but I understand it's better to the second option, because you have the possibility to have another project and that is better because it's more cost, but you can have another money for another project. Is more or less no the option for me, I think, is better the second too.
Okay, good. All right, so class is about half over now, but what I want to do is I want to have you guys talking a bit more. I just want to go over one more thing, and I wish I had a whiteboard here and I had some board markers, or what we call dry erase markers. Do I have a pen here? Oh. You know what, give me a second. I'm going to go upstairs and get a pen because I want to show you something. All right, so let's see here. We have scope, so I'm building a triangle. And guys, I apologize. I know this is a terrible camera, but I'm getting my laptop back tonight. So we have scope here. This is what we call a constraint. Okay? Wellington, I'm losing people. They hate project management now. It's getting boring. What is a constraint? Can you tell me what a constraint is?
Constraints are the trickiness. The trickiness. Sometimes it can be the rules, the bureaucracy.
They don't threaten us. Rules is closer. Think of a train. Can you and a train runs on tracks. What is one of the constraints of a train running on tracks? It has to stay on the tracks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a constraint by that technology. Trains are very fast, they're very efficient, but they can only go where tracks are. Okay? So when we say scope is a constraint, then we have to stick to what's in the scope.
Yeah.
All right? We have cost or budget. So there's the other thing on the triangle, right? We've got our cost. Sorry, if I'm getting my laptop back, and this will be easier to see. So we have cost and scope. What's the third constraint of project management?
Cost, scope, and I think it's the time.
The time.
Both of you correct. Yeah, time or schedule, right?
Yeah.
If we change any one of these, it affects the others.
Yes.
Obvious, right?
Yeah, it's directed.
Okay, it's obvious to all of you guys here, but sometimes when you're working on a project, it's not so obvious. You get blinded. All right, what I'm going to do now, it's 39 minutes. I'm going to give each of you about 2 minutes where we can have a discussion. And Wellington, I'll start with you. Actually, I just had a bit of a conversation with you, so let me start with Jose. Jose, yes. We've talked about several things today. I would like you to summarize for me some of the concepts we talked about in project management. Go ahead, please.
Yes. I talk about the last class. I talk of the solvency, about the risk, about the budget, about the scope. The scope is what are you going to do? About the outsourcing, because some tasks you don't have the possibility to do, and you have to do all sorts of things about the compressed timelines, about the schedule. You talk about the plan and about the compressed timelines.
Let me interrupt you right there.
And you finish the project.
Let me interrupt you right there, Jose, because there's another term. It's called a critical path. Do you know what a critical path is?
The critical path? No, I don't know.
Okay. So a schedule might have 1,000 different tasks on it that have to be done. Now, for example, doing environmental permits. It might take 2 years to do, but there's a lot of waiting in between, right? You submit a permit, you wait to get it back, right?
Yes.
But you can be doing other things during that time, right?
Yes.
Right? So your critical path, you have an end date, you must meet that date, but you can do other things in between. So if there's a slight delay in the permit schedule, it doesn't impact the overall project end date.
Okay.
So here's what the critical path means. The critical path is basically all tasks where if you change any one of them, it will impact the schedule. So if you delay one because it's on the critical path, the entire schedule.
Okay.
Yeah. Right?
So
you want to identify your critical path.
Yes.
Right?
You have to identify your critical path. It's important.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Because while you're getting permits, you can be doing planning, you can be doing quality assurance, you can be doing interviews, you can be purchasing or hiring people, right? Okay. Thank you. Now let's go on to Javier, and I'll give you 2 minutes as well. Now, part of that 2-minute time is I'll interrupt every now and then if I think it will help the discussion. So Javier, based on what you've heard here, what have you learned, or what do you find is most important for project management?
Yeah, there are different concepts or parts of the project, no, that they are involved, and they are
what parts?
As important as the others, no? So like the time and cost and quality, the human resources.
Good.
It's a mixture of the whole project, yes. So as well, I learned about the subject matter experts.
Yes, good.
And apart from this, yeah, if there is a problem or an issue with the project and you have to spend more money that it was budgeted, so finally it's worth it to spend it just for the reason that you have more resources for other projects. Yeah. So.
Okay, good. And I asked that question because it's important that you use the terminology we spoke about in the class. Okay, so very good. So I talked about time, but I showed you a slideshow earlier, and it said time what?
A time, I don't know.
Okay.
A time, I don't know. Time.
I'll cheat. Well, not cheat. I'll give you a hint. Let's take a look at the screen again. Time what?
Time management.
Cost what?
Cost management. Yeah.
Human resource?
Management. Yeah.
Why do we have management after each one of these?
Because they must be managed as a part of a project, but in a different but as well as a part of I wouldn't say a sector, as a part of one thing of the project.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. Let me jump in. You're a project manager. You must project manage these areas, these knowledge areas. They're big, they're huge, but it's part of your responsibility.
Yeah.
David, I'm going to go on to David now. I want to make sure everybody has some conversation time. David, what have you learned in this class?
Some vocabulary.
Like what?
For example, change management. I didn't know what does change management mean, but now I think I understand it.
Can you explain it to me, please?
Yes, I think it's when you have to decide to change something in your project that will affect drastically to the time or the cost of the project. And you have to identify different options, evaluate them, and choose the best for you.
Good.
You
Excellent.
have the responsibility to choose it correctly.
And change management is an entire field onto its own, but it's very important to project management. Continue, please.
And I think I learned that time is not the most important part of a project, and that money is not the most important because all of these parts are connected, and one of them will affect the others.
What do we call them? What are these three things called?
I can't remember.
Starts with C.
C. I don't know.
All right. Who can tell me what the C is? You've only got about 15 seconds left, Dave. But I want to see if somebody remember. Yeah, constraint.
Constraint. Okay. Okay.
But that is very important. That triangle is important to know. And I know these aren't big words. Time isn't a big word. But it does have a big word in project management. That's called schedule, right? So there's your big word for time, schedule. Cost. Again, not a very big word. Budget is its next bigger word. But in English, no matter how smart we are, we always ask that question. How much does it cost?
Yes.
And scope. That's a pretty big word unto its own. Okay, thank you, David. Amp, what can you tell us that you learned in this class?
Well, that is very important to take care when you are going to make a decision. Probably at the beginning you think that the money is very important, but you have to analyze all the consequences. If you just prefer to save a little bit of money right now, at the end probably it just reflects that you are spending more than the thing that at the beginning you were thinking that you were saving.
Okay. Let me ask you something, Amp. So thinking of the money, the budget for the project, is it your money? Is it your money that the project money? Is it your money?
Well, probably is the money of our client, and the money of the company is going to pay.
But it's not yours.
But it's not, you are not going to be in a good competition with the other.
Well, no. What I'm trying to get at here, it's not your money. It's not your schedule, is it? So you've been given a start date and an end date. It's not your schedule, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And scope. Did you set up the scope? Did you determine the... Actually, you probably didn't. You might have worked with stakeholders and a sponsor to come up with a scope, but you were probably handed a project charter that gave you the scope, or you worked on it with other people. You didn't define the scope.
You are just like the client. They are the client, and you have to offer your best just in favor that they want what they want. You have to offer the best.
Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. That's why I'm asking you these tough questions. If it's not your budget, if it's not your schedule, and if it's not your scope, why do you care if it changes? So long as, this is change management piece here, so long as you've managed these aspects of the project. So, for example, let's look at the sheet again.
They are looking for efficiency, and with all these aspects, time, cost, quality, and.
Let me stop you for a sec, because I want to make sure this point is clear to everybody. So it's not your scope, but you're responsible for managing it. If it changes, you go back to the people that are paying for this, and you're saying, hey, this is going to impact it. And again, as you talked about, you have to come up with, identify the issue, the options, and they'll always ask you, what do you recommend? Right? So a recommendation. And it's the same with time. It's not your schedule. So anything that impacts it, you must manage the schedule. You are looking after it. If it looks like any of these things, these constraints are going to change, you need to manage it. And if it's approved, you deal with it. Okay. Adela, you've got 2 minutes. Tell us what you learned in this class.
For me, the most important is to be attention on the critical path, because I think it's the moment that produce more reschedule, more delay, more money, more cost. Maybe is where the point of have or take a decision to change the management. For me, is the main idea I learn.
Okay, good. And critical path is important. And once you identify your critical path, and this can be through, I don't know, you're probably going to do that in your part of your activity management. Okay, and you'll do that in time management. So time management is all about defining your activities. So if you look at your critical path and you say, whoa, there's no way we're going to maintain this schedule with this critical path, it becomes your ability to say, hey, here's a risk, here's an issue. If any one of these change, we're going to delay the project. The likelihood of any one of these things changes is increased. You spell it out. Why is it an issue? Present it. As long as you do this, when the project is delayed or it costs more, no one's going to say, you're fired, David. You cost us a lot of money. No, if somebody says, why did it cost us much? Okay, we identified weather as a concern. Getting the project done on time was the most important political concern. The steering committee, the people responsible for any changes, they reviewed it, they accepted the constraints, they accepted the issues, right? It's not your fault. You're not the one making the decisions. They are.
Maybe it's important to identify in the planning fast, because executing is more problematic, no?
I want to show you something. All right. So you noticed earlier I was on a different page and you're going like, wait a minute, I don't remember seeing that. And this is going to segue into what we're going to talk about next class. So these are called knowledge areas. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 of them. Now I'm going to show you one of them. Let's go skip a page here. Okay, this is chapter 5 of the PEM book. It's called Project Scope Management. And look at the main activities. Plan, scope management. So you got to plan it out. Okay, you've got to collect some requirements, and who knows, maybe once you've collected some requirements, you have to go back to the plan and take a look. Do we need to change it a bit? Once you've collected the requirements, now you define the scope. See, you're not creating the scope, you're having to go out and collect the requirements. Right? You as a PM isn't setting the scope. So you define the scope, you create, this is very important here, work breakdown structure. All that is basically the work that has to be done. But it's a very common acronym for project management. It's called a WBS, or work breakdown structure. It's the work that must be done. So once we do all this, Wellington, are we good to go? Can we start the project?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Okay, so in this example, we planned the scope, we got the requirements, we wrote it up, we defined it, and then we created a list of work that must be done through the work breakdown structure. Can we go ahead and start working?
Based on the based on the next instruction, not we must see, of course, validate organizing the tasks. We need to validate
validate.
Yeah, validate, evaluate all the situation, the scope, and the time, all the things that.
Right, let me stop you there.
Okay.
So, yeah, we need to validate, and part of it is validate and control are very similar. So you've done all this work, you've created the scope, we already know that it'll make up one of our 3 constraints. So before we go ahead and start doing it, maybe we just need to go back and check, okay, are you guys sure? Can you sign off on this scope? Are you happy with it? And if they say yes, congratulations, because you're ready for the next step. And the control is, that's all the stuff you need to do, processes, that's all the stuff that you need to do to stay on scope. Okay? I want to show you guys something else. So what we're going to do next week is we're going to look at one of these things. I'm not going to tell you which one now. We'll take a look at one of the knowledge areas. In this case, scope management has 6. All right? I know you can't see it here, but I've got other documents that show this in detail. So for scope management, what do we need? Well, it tells us the things we need. And the great news here is there's more terminology. I'm just going to give you a sneak peek on the next class and talk about one. This one here called Enterprise Environmental Factors. Let me type that out because it's a big word. Enterprise factors. Jose, what does enterprise environmental factors mean? Do you know?
I think it is the factors related with the environment, no? That can affect to the project.
Okay, close. You've almost just said exactly what the words there, but you haven't quite defined it. Nice try, though.
What does that mean?
Hold on. I want to give everybody a chance because we've only got 3 minutes left. Javier, what does enterprise environmental factors mean?
Enterprise, so that environmental factors that affect the enterprise. So you have.
What's an enterprise?
You have to be aware of those factors. Enterprise is a company, no? A company or a...
Okay. Let's stay with that. It's a company. Let's ask David. David, what's an enterprise? Is it a company?
It could be a company.
What else could it be?
Something that you need to do something.
Not quite.
No.
No, let's ask AMP. AMP, what's an enterprise? AMP?
Oops. Is that the company or the project?
I know I'm asking you, what is an enterprise? It's just a standard term we would use. When we say enterprise, what does enterprise mean?
A company, a factory.
Okay, company, a factory. Adela, what does an enterprise mean to you?
I think it's same a project.
Okay, I'm going to say it's an organization. Why an organization? Well, depending on who you talk to, especially if you're talking to enterprise architects, which I'm certified as, an organization is a company, a part of a company, or it can involve multiple companies together. One location or multiple locations. you need to know what your enterprise, your organization is. And when we say environmental, well, what is the environment? It's what's around us. So enterprise environmental factors means it's all those other things out there that are affecting the enterprise, the organization, right? It's a very big word or phrase to simply mean everything else that could happen. So you're building a highway. What's happening in the environment? Well, weather, commodity prices, wars. These can all affect your project, and they have nothing to do with it, right? So part of it is just, it's a great phrase. I mean, enterprise environmental factors, and wow, it's impressive sounding, but it's just a catch-all for a lot of different things. So class, we're kind of winding down, and we've talked about everything we want to. I'm going to stop broadcasting now, but then I'm going to take about a minute and tell you guys where I plan on taking this class.